And we're back. You tuned into Sport Federation TV. I'm Lenyukta Chetty. Before the break, we were speaking Cape Wineland Safa, and with me in studio now, from the world of transplant sport, we have Hermann Steyn and Steyn Henkeman. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome back again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you
very much. Lovely to be here.
Yes, yeah, your smile is genuine, so I'm gonna believe that. Lovely to be here. So you are involved as administrators and athletes in the world of transplant sport. Tell us what your portfolios is and your areas of responsibility.
My name is Hermann Steyn, and I'm the National Executive Secretary of the Transplant Sports Association, and I'm also the Chairman of the Western Cape Transplant Sports Association.
And you, Steyn?
And I'm Steyn Henkeman, and I'm the National Chairperson of the South African Transplant Sports Association.
All right.
And I'm also an athlete.
Right. Well,
we both are.
Yes, yes. A lot of people at home probably are hearing about transplant sport for the very first time. So thank you for bringing the video to introduce us to the sport. We're going to take a look at that now.
Okay, thank you.
My brother had a heart transplant in '98. Out of the blue, none of us had a history of heart problems. At the time we were told it was a possible virus that had caused it. At that stage we thought it was just a one-off. About 5 years later, a cousin developed the same heart disease called cardiomyopathy. He unfortunately died waiting for a heart. And it was my turn when I was 49 years old. In 2012 I got sick and deteriorated pretty rapidly, that I needed a heart transplant in the beginning of 2013, which I was lucky enough to get.
I used to play sports all my life, tennis, cricket, everything. And then since I've been diagnosed with the kidney failure, I was advised to try out the transplant games. So yeah, I've been to 8 World Games already. Yeah, as you all know, we're all on medication. And the medication, unfortunately, is toxic. And in my case, it caused my veins to narrow, and I lost blood flow to my lower extremities. And hence they had to amputate one leg in 2013, and 6 months later the other leg. So that's unfortunate, but you know, you have to live with it and continue, and trying to be positive at all times.
Well, I used to be a competitive sportsman as a youngster, tennis. I used to play professionally, and I decided once I had a transplant, I wanted to show the rest of the world or South Africa that you can still partake in competitive sport after a transplant. So I decided to get involved in the association.
Wow, well, I mean, that short video, it speaks volumes, but I'm going to allow you gentlemen to elaborate on what those athletes have said already.
Look, if I can start off with our vision as a sports organization, is we're a multi-sports sports federation, and our vision is to optimize the quality of life of transplant recipients, and through sports and physical activities, promote organ donation and transplantation. That is to sum it up, and that's what we're all about.
And so essentially this federation is the home for all people who have had organ transplant and who want to celebrate life, who wants to show that one can have a normal life after transplantation. And so this is really an opportunity for us to also show our gratitude.
Yeah. I also felt so emotional watching that, because I myself play a sport, and I constantly I have this fear in the back of my head sometimes that what if something happened to me that would prevent me from playing my sport, which is such a huge part of my life. It's my love, it's my joy, it's my passion. And This the existence of this organization actually shows you that it doesn't have to end.
No.
You can reinvent yourself, actually.
Yes.
You know, and it's wonderful. But for us, it's also to celebrate the second chance, because life, you know, life is short. Life is finite, you know, and you don't know what can happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that if something bad happens to you, that's the end of your world. And we also, through our sport, we pay homage to the donors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people will still go run the comrades with the flu.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Even though, you know, you are advised against it.
and
But
he might end up as an organ recipient.
Yes.
Because that's what we've got quite a few of them training while they had flu, and they ended up having a transplant.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's not a good
Cycling
thing.
is another big one, and particularly in Europe, cycling is massive.
Yeah.
And we have some European countries have some cyclists who've, you know, who actually did the Tour de France
Tour
and
de
things
France.
like that,
Yeah.
but then, you know, overdid it and needed a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and I'm just thinking about the group of athletes in your family, in your sports family. I mean, all of them must have this new perspective and new appreciation of life, and quite mature as well from their experience. Hey, it must be such a different vibe compared to other clubs.
absolutely,
It's a
even
family.
the kids are mature because from a very young age they have to self-medicate and, you know,
Yes.
and know what to do and what not to do. So on average, your transplant child would be very mature in their outlook on life,
Yeah.
and very, you know, mature in how they handle pressure.
Yes.
Because they've been through such a lot.
And it would really help put things into perspective. I mean, maybe one of the positive outcomes of going through such a life-changing occurrence is that it puts things in perspective for you. Hey, don't sweat the small stuff after something like that.
No.
Well, the national games are coming up. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's going to be from the 11th to the 15th of July. We're also on the first night, we're going to have our national AGM,
Right.
our annual general meeting. And this year it's going to be an elective AGM,
Right.
where a new committee will be elected. And then the games, the national games, will be from the 12th to the 14th. We'll be coming back on the 15th. And that's going to be in Port Elizabeth.
Right.
Now that is a first step. I think Steyn mentioned it. That's a first step in qualifying for the World Games, which is going to be held next year in England. So yes, after the national games, we are going to have a requalification period where athletes have to requalify again, and we're going to have, depending on funding, 2 national training camps. Before we went to Spain, we had 1 national training camp in the SASCOC recognized training camp in Bloemfontein. So we plan to have 2 training camps this year, one towards the end of the year after the team has been selected, and then another one about 2 months before the games, which is going to be in August next year.
Okay, and you hope to send a participant in almost every category that you participate in, hey?
Yes, and you know, of course, there are certain categories where we're strong. Track and field, so we'll have a big team there.
Yeah.
Swimming also,
also.
you know, and golf. Those are probably the 3 big ones, you know,
Right.
where we have a lot of talent, and then in the other smaller ones, tennis
also.
and squash as well, you know. So we you know, I always make the point that we're actually punching above our weight as a country. Because with the number of athletes that we send, you know, you know, the results we bring back, you know, is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Every time I'm surprised, you know, because we sometimes have less than half of some of the other countries, and we beat them by far.
You know, just elaborate on that. Last year in Spain, we were 3rd of the 52 countries. First was Great Britain with over 200 athletes. Second was USA with 150 athletes. And we were 3rd with 52 athletes.
Yeah.
And 4th was Germany with 150 athletes. Australia with over 100. And so it goes on. So we we're very proud of South Africa.
Oh, I
of
can
our
just
South
see
African
Hermann
team.
arriving at the World Games and say, let's see.
Yeah.
Which country did we bring more athletes than? So the World Games again in 2019.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
and
That's right.
that's the well, obviously the pinnacle event for you.
Yeah, and you know, it has different meanings for different people. For me, for instance, I'm going to be in a new age category, which means that, you know, the chances of being the new kid on the block, you know,
Yes,
increases.
the young kid on the
Yeah.
on that block.
But then we will have people who will go to a World Games for the first time.
Yeah,
And that's
Everybody's
always
dream.
big. That's
Yeah.
always big. And just, you know, the idea of going to another country, you know, because some people would never ever in their lives would be able to travel
Yeah.
if it wasn't for this. you know.
absolutely.
So it's a wonderful way also to see the world. You know.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest perks
Yeah.
of excelling in your sport is being able to see other countries and experience new
International.
cultures.
Yes,
Hey,
absolutely.
We're going to Newcastle in England next year.
yeah.
In August, 17th to the 24th of August next year.
Okay. How can people get in touch with you, Stan, if they'd like to affiliate or support the federation?
Well, Hermann is the executive secretary, so I'll let him do most of the talking. But first and foremost, we have an amazing website
Right.
that they can go to. But Hermann will tell you more about
Yeah. Our website is www.transplantsports with an S, transplantsports.org.za.
Okay.
And we have a Facebook page, and they can go to the website where they can get all the information about the various regions, the provinces.
And all the different
all
codes.
The different codes and qualification criteria, previous results, etc.
And the appeal that we would want to make is, you know, there are often people who have had organ transplants who don't even know about us.
Exactly.
And so that's the appeal to anybody in South Africa who's had an organ transplant and you think that maybe this is something I must try. You are most welcome to go to our website. We'll find you where you are, and we will go out of our way to help you to fulfill a dream that you perhaps never thought you'd be able to
Or discover a part of yourself you didn't even
Absolutely.
know existed.
Absolutely.
Hey.
And there are so many stories like that.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. How do you
Can I-
know you're not good at it if you haven't
There we
tried?
go. There we
Can
go.
I just mention about our national games in Port Elizabeth? We'd like to appeal to the people because this is a national TV station. You can see it everywhere. Is to appeal to the people in Port Elizabeth to come and. Most of the sport codes will be hosted by the Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So we appeal to the people in Port Elizabeth to come and watch us in Port Elizabeth and see some amazing stories and meet amazing people.
Yeah, lovely. Always such a pleasure to talk to you. It's always so inspiring. And thank you for the work that you're doing and the opportunities that you are creating for people, the people out there that don't even know their lives are going to change.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Always
you very
nice to be
much.
here.
Nice
Yeah.
to be here. Thanks.
Well, there you have it, Transplant Sport. If you or somebody you know is a recipient of a transplant, this is a sports federation that caters for you. Many different codes and many different opportunities, and a world champs every second year. After the break, we'll be talking Q Sport, so please stay tuned for that.